2013, we have seen so much happen to our economy. We have seen so many things happen in the different sectors of the economy as well. We're taking a look and reviewing all of what has happened and projecting for 2014. And joining us right here in the studio with us this morning, on my left-hand side, we've got Mr. Dele Alimi, who's the director with Lagos Chamber of Commerce and Industry. Good morning and welcome to Sunrise.
Good morning, thank you very much.
And then on the other side is Mr. Alex Anameje, who is a member of CIBN, Chartered Institute of Bankers of Nigeria.
Exactly.
Thank you very much for coming.
Very much, yeah.
Now, LCCI is said to be one of those organizations that look after so many sectors in terms of chamber commerce, in terms of commerce and industry.
Definitely.
When you look at our economy for 2013, how would you sum it up?
Well, we'll look at it that it's been a mixed grill. When you look at the statistics look very good, at least in terms of the growth level, adherence to fiscal policies. But when you look at it,
would you say there's adherence to fiscal policies?
Well, as far as the CBN's policy goes, there's been a lot of effort.
They do monetary.
Yeah, they do monetary, but
yes.
Of course, it comes the policy decisions in terms of fiscal also comes from them. Well, in conjunction with the Ministry of Finance, but then it's done by the two bodies. There's been effort to have strict adherence, and when you look at their projections and the result at the end of the day, there seems to be a good result, because they said they want, like inflation, they want to ensure they have a single-digit inflation. That has happened. They've also what the negative effect of that has been, the flip side has been the high interest rate. But like the CBN governor said what they are looking at more is controlling inflation. If at the end of the day it leads to high interest rate, well, it could happen, but with time
we have to live with it.
Exactly, it's been a very tight
okay,
policy.
maybe what we should do is focus on the monetary policy, which CBN has worked on. Would you say that as far as those who are in the commerce and industry sector, as far as they're concerned, are they happy with the current interest rate?
No, definitely no.
And what would be their priority? Will it be that inflation is managed the way the CBN is managing it and impacting negatively or impairing negatively the interest rate?
Yes, I think let's look at it from this angle. The two, it's like the story of the chicken and the egg. The two affect the industry. If prices go too high, it's going to adversely affect the manufacturers too. And of course, the problem of high interest rate is also affecting them badly. And the FCC had always advocated for a little loosening of this monetary policy to favor the reduction in interest rate. Government itself is borrowing at a very high rate. And that, of course, what it means is that by the time you are looking at the interbank rate and everything, already the rates are already high at that level. So you can't blame banks when they are lending at very high rates.
You say prices are going high, but they are going high, because tied to all of this is also the issue of exchange rate.
Yes.
And the exchange rate is, it's inhibitive right now, and is affecting prices of everything in Nigeria.
I agree with you completely. But what the CBN promised at the beginning of the year was that they are looking at an exchange rate about 160 plus or minus 5%.
So it's about 172 now.
Well, that is in the parallel. But looking at it that's in the parallel market. Well, in the official market, they've been able to maintain.
Nobody gets official market rates.
The truth of the matter is that most manufacturers now look more at the official market and they get there. The truth of the matter also is that we may not have enough, and that is why at the latter part of the year you can see that the gap between the official and the parallel started widening again, which goes completely contrary to what the CBN had planned. So I think that is where the mechanism of maintenance and proper monitoring comes in. But really, during the year, you can see it's over between 157, 158, and 162 officially.
Okay. Okay. Now, excuse me, sir. This issue of exchange rate, it seems to be at the core of everything that happens, since we're still very much an importing nation. What do you think is responsible for the widening gap between the official and the parallel?
You see, you can't remove the issue of supply, because that is very critical to it. And you see, policy generally, you always have what is saying you call a trade-off. As you are controlling one policy, the other one might be going the other way. He mentioned the issue of interest rates, for example. The emphasis was on inflation for a stable system. As you are because the interest rate must be positive in real terms for the economy to grow. And you must be managing all of them at the same time. So the issue of exchange rate is a matter of supply. You know what is happening with our reserves. We are import-dependent nation. Everybody wants to import. I think what would be important is for us to look inside and see how we can grow our economy and reduce importation. As long as everybody wants to import ordinary toothpick and everything, you can't control that end. So that is the core issue of the problem. If we can find a way to stimulate the economy so that people can now look inwards and, of course, produce most of the things we import, that will actually take care of the exchange rate, and we will become an exporting nation. And that is it. But in the case of interest rate, well, here you mentioned it rightly, because inflation rate is very important for the common man. That is, as prices are going up, you find that it will be difficult for them to survive. The issue is to have a stable system, and we are happy at least we have a single-digit interest rate, even though you may argue that it doesn't trickle down to the ordinary man that is not feeling the goodness of the single-digit, yes.
Single-digit what?
I mean the inflation rate, sorry. Even though it doesn't trickle down. But the fact is that it's still important that you have to manage the two and come at a middle point. As you are trying to control this, the other one is escaping the other way, and it's something that we must carry on. Looking at it generally, find that CBN has done a lot to keep a stable system.
In 2013, then, if you were to take a look back on hindsight and say, what are the things we got wrong in the banking sector? Because we're still looking at the monetary aspect of our economy before we get into the fiscal. What would you say about how we are fared looking at the banking sector especially?
You see, the banking sector, for example, bankers are Nigerians. And this competition is always there. And I must actually praise the central bank governor, or the CBN generally, for trying to maintain a level of decorum within the period in terms of corporate governance and things like that. But all the same, we still have a lot to do. He has even done a lot. Now CBN has a consumer protection department, but the information probably may not be flowing, where you can report any problem you have with your bank and take a look at it and solve your problem within the shortest possible time. They are now going into sensitization. About a month ago, they were in Port Harcourt sensitizing the ordinary man on the need to what banking is all about and on the need for them to patronize. Because most ordinary people, they keep actually their money outside the banking system, and that is affecting monetary policy. As long as money is not moved into the system, it becomes difficult to control. As you are controlling here, the major challenge is getting a large chunk of the money outside the system into the system. That is an area that emphasis must be given, and I think they are trying to address it by this sensitization program. They've been going around at very expensive rates, sensitizing the common people, because a lot of money is out there. That is what affects most of the problem, and I think it's an area we haven't got right actually.
Let me take you back a bit to what you said earlier about stimulating the economy such that our appetite for imported stuff will be reduced. In what ways do you think that this economy, because we have been an importing nation forever, How do we start to address this matter of stimulating the economy to reduce our demand for foreign exchange?
I think that is very, very key. And I think we've started in the right path now, hoping that it's going to move on. The infrastructural facilities is key. Infrastructure is key to whatever we're doing. Thank God, over a long time, we've been talking of privatizing the energy supply to the system. Thank God we've been able to achieve to a large extent that this year. Let us see what happens, because once it goes to the private sector, you find that they're going to do more. Infrastructure is something you can't remove, because that is what makes the cost of production in this country very expensive. And that is what is discouraging people. And again, import dependency. We are depending on import. When you produce at very expensive rate in this economy and somebody dumps in our system, you can't sell. And I'm happy some of these things are being addressed gradually. I'm not talking of restriction totally, but we can put high import tariff so that the local manufacturers can survive. As long as they can compete, there's no way you can expect them to manufacture locally. Everybody will look outside to import, and they make his money and they get out of the system. I think that is the key issue. It's actually putting in infrastructure in place. There are no roads. Electricity, for example, if it takes off eventually, if the people that have actually taken it, if they're serious with it, maybe in the next 1 year we might start seeing some drops. And obviously it will trickle down to the ordinary man.
Okay. Now, let me ask Mr. Alimi. LCCI has relationship with other international organizations in the areas of commerce and industry, and you're probably very well traveled as well. Now, when you look at what is done in other climes, how can we encourage and allow our businessmen and captains of industry to thrive in a nation where our monetary policy creates the kind of environment where interest rate is this high? We've looked at 2013 now. Yes. This is where we are. We don't know what will happen with NPR in 2014. But for 2013, how do we do it?
Well, what the LCC had advised government, and which, especially the CBN itself. In fact, I remember on a one-on-one, the Director General then had a one-on-one with the CBN governor, and it's like my colleague said, it's been a trade-off. The question is about, okay, you want us to loosen the monetary policy, it's too tight, as you say. Would you rather inflation goes up? And then the question is it possible? Is it possible to still reduce interest rates even when inflation remains a single policy? What we have advocated is that government itself should face the issue of improving the capacity of the industrial sector, and by providing a cheaper source of fund. The Bank of Industry have done something in this area. I want to say cheaper source of fund, which means the manufacturer may not need to go directly to the bank. If an importer wants to come in and goes to the bank to source for his forex, which may mean he may import at a very high rate, so be it. But for those that believe in the economy and ready to work within the economy and produce, we must encourage them, and that is what the SCI had advocated.
Where will they go for their funds?
Well, the government in the last 6 months, I think the second quarter of the year, the CBN came up with the 300 billion loan for SME at about 5% interest rate. Whether the SMEs have been able to access this fund is another matter entirely, but the fund is there. And we are so disappointed that not many were able to access the fund. But it again brings up...
Is it that the conditions are stringent?
Well, they are not too stringent. Don't forget that this money must come back, so that everybody can be part of it. But we find out that the SMEs themselves, in terms of capacity available to them, some of them cannot even access this loan. The structure of the SMEs is another aspect of it. The structure of the SMEs themselves is not one that a lender will give money to, and you cannot blame them. So when we're addressing in our organization, when we're addressing SME issues, we don't only look at the issue of because when they come to you, the first thing everybody talk about is capital, credit, and everything. But when you must analyze the position of the SME themselves. Are they in a position to access this fund? Are the books well kept? Is this money going to go the way it should? In terms of management capacity, can they manage the expansion they are looking for? So these are also other things that government itself through. We have SMEs, we have NASME. They must all address these areas. And
so what you're saying is that a lot of those SMEs don't actually qualify.
That is the truth. The way they are structured now, the way most of them are structured. But we must make them qualify. We must help them to qualify. That is important. We cannot, because everybody talk about the SME as being the engine of growth. Is the truth. Today we know that about 30 million jobs in this country is created by the SMEs. And
every year or just this year?
So I'm just talking about generally. From now, when you look at the amount of job created within we have about 30 million of those jobs come from the SMEs. And which means that a vibrant SME sector would, all this government intervention of government is creating job and everything, we think if we do more in improving the capacity of SMEs and they're able to thrive, we are going to have more jobs created automatically without any conscious effort at creating jobs.
What more would we need to do? Are we talking about trainings, or are we talking about...
I'm talking about training.
Yes.
I'm talking about the various government establishments set up to support SMEs. They need to, and then also I'm talking about regulatory agencies of government, how they deal with SMEs and everything, because what we have found out in the LCCI is that the regulatory agencies they've kind of missed their purpose. They see themselves as income generating organizations, and that is not what they are there for. You see a regulatory is coming forward and say we have made so much. That is not what they are there for. If you are in charge of standard, we want to talk about what have you done about getting manufacturers to meet the standard it's supposed to meet. I'm not bothered about how many you are able to close down. That is not what we want you to come and do. Because if an organization is established to produce a particular product, definitely the machine is there to produce it. Somebody is cutting corners somewhere. Is there a way of getting this man to do it the right way? If his electricity is coming at a very good rate, if he can move his goods to the market at a very good rate, will he need to cut corners? So these are all the everything is all interwoven. And the moment you start solving one problem, just like my colleague said, if you solve the problem of electricity, you'll be shocked at the quantum of investment, quantum of jobs, quantum of the increase in the power of the people in terms of the what is in their pocket. You'll be shocked at what will happen. Let's go down to even little barbing shop by the street. The first thing you have to come about to think about when you're starting a barbing shop by the street is I better pass my air generator. You imagine what that young person is spending on fueling that generator every month. Take that away from his cost of business. I imagine what is being added up to him. And we are looking at that small person. You cannot imagine how it goes when you go.
Okay, let's look at let's move into the area of fiscal policy and how that affects the economy, the management of it. Mr. Anameje, 2013 is at the end. We keep reminding ourselves that we're very close to the very end of it. In 2013, how did you think we fared with regards to our fiscal policy and management of the economy?
Yes. I think you raised an issue actually. Everything is income generation. Talk of custom. They are not doing the job they are given to do. They are looking at the way to make money for the government. But that is actually not the key issue. If they are supposed to keep restrict the movement of a particular system, they are not interested in it. It's just money. But fiscal policy is very, very important. And looking at it generally,
you can start from infrastructure. Have we done well?
No, I don't think so, even though we have beautiful intentions.
Let's start with the budget then. The budget 2013, did we vote enough fund for infrastructure development?
We have always voted funds. But the issue is the funds being available. And remember I mentioned the trickle-down effect. It may actually be released, but does it get to where it's supposed to get? infrastructure is key. I'm happy when we talk of increasing the rail line because it's very, very key also. Though it's a very long-term project that won't finish in 1 year, 2 years. It's a long-term kind of investment.
So you're saying we've not done well?
To me, we could have done more. That is as far as I'm concerned.
What about the budget implementation?
That is
2013.
That is the release I'm talking about. How far have we implemented the budget? We have a beautiful present, like we have this year, if eventually it comes out fine from the National Assembly. But how far have we implemented it? Because that is the problem, and I think it has to do with our individual persons, actually, commitment to the assignment we are giving to. Because the issue is when the money is released, is this money utilized the way it's supposed to be utilized, so that look at our roads. These are the things we need to drive this economy. Let's say electricity is taken away now, hoping they are going to perform.
Hoping?
That's a hope, actually, because we are all Nigerians. And so many other areas, we actually need to do something, improve the infrastructural facilities and see how we are going to move forward. Without it, I don't think we're moving anywhere.